delighted to be here and a part of the Somali Academics and the FailForward Hub initiative. I myself am from a Nigerian background, and I strongly believe in relational networks working together, and that's why I'm so passionate about the work that Somali Academics in the FailForward Hub are doing. So a little bit about me. I am a digital health consultant with the experience of working in the UK National Health Service and the private sector. I'm also an academic in the field of digital health innovation and sustainable transformation, which is an arm of implementation science and informatics. I feel very honoured to have a rich background from working on the UK's largest innovation programme in healthcare to date, and on Scotland's first national digital health and wellbeing service at scale. And I'm very passionate about equality, diversity and inclusion in STEM, which are science, technology and mathematics, engineering and mathematics. And I shall talk shortly about my advocacy work that I'm involved in. Okay, so just to give you a little bit about what we'll cover in this presentation today. I'll give an insight into my leadership journey to date. I'll talk about some of the challenges I have faced in my field, and also share an insight into how I was able to circumnavigate and overcome challenges using my unique differences to my advantage. And finally, I shall also discuss how I'm paying it forward in my role with some of the advocacy work that I have been doing. Okay. So what does leadership look like? When I think about this question, the first person that comes to my mind is Michelle Obama. She's affectionately known as the forever First Lady of the United States. And to me, she's the perfect example for me as a leader, both personally and publicly. She has many leadership roles. She's a mother, a lawyer, a community activist, a social rights advocate, and she has become a role model globally in inspiring not just her nation, but the entire world. And she said that leadership is not limited to age or status in life. And what I can take from that is the fact that anyone can be a leader and enact positive change. It's not limited to people in management or power positions, but successful leadership in particular comes from within an individual. So having the right morals and the right values that you can apply for the greater good. And just like me, she's a woman and she's Black, and I'm able to identify with her journey. So let's have a look at my leadership journey to date. Okay. Okay, so here are some of my career highlights, which I'm honoured and happy to share with you all. Sorry, can you see that page okay? Oh, just a moment, please. I think my battery seems to be low. Apologise. Okay. So as you can see, they range from a range of national and international positions. And in each of these academic institutions and organizations, I always sought to enact meaningful change without even having lead in my title. So for example, bottom right, being my most recent position at University College London, in the capacity as an honorary research associate. I was also an EDI, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion advocate, and postgraduate tutor at the Institute of Health Informatics for master's students who are undertaking a master's in health informatics or data analytics. And in this capacity, I served as a mentor and a personal tutor. I served on the Athena Swan Committee as well, to also help raise awareness about gender inequality in academia. Another example, at the bottom is the World Health Summit. So I was invited to the World Health Summit in Berlin in October of 2019, just last year. And in this capacity, in my role, I was invited to engage in collective discussions with global leaders on how we can find solutions to global health challenges. And for me, that meant highlighting how we can maximize the potential of digital capabilities, but more importantly, providing diversity of thought. And I guess another important highlight that I would like to highlight is the fact that I volunteer as a STEM ambassador, and I volunteer to help support and engage with young people pursuing STEM subjects. And for me, it's important, once you're invited into a room, to ensure that that door remains open for others, for other people like me to be able to feel welcomed. Okay. So you've seen that I have quite some colourful highlights, but what have been the challenges that I have faced? So here are three that I'm going to expand on. So firstly, at times when I would walk into a room, I will be the only woman. The field that I'm in is quite male dominated, and as you can see, in 2018 only 13% of the UK STEM workforce was female. Now in 2020 it has increased to 22%, which is something to be celebrated, but we need to ensure that young girls and women take up STEM subjects and professions. Secondly, likewise, in many professional settings in my field, I would be the only person of colour. Although it's not entirely surprising, given that even at the highest level of academia, less than 1% of professors are Black. And so I had to learn very quickly the need to ensure that I advocate for my voice to be heard in several settings, and to not be afraid to do so despite there being a lack of representation. And thirdly, the need to be able to break down stereotypes. So given that there are these gender and ethnic differences, I learned very quickly the need to remain focused on my goals, to work diligently with integrity and let your work speak for yourself. And clearly, I believe that given my previous career highlights, this strategy clearly works. Okay, so when I also transitioned to industry from academia, which is, I would say, it's the non-traditional route for PhDs, but I was very excited to enter into the industry arena. Many of the hurdles I faced, I still faced. They were still there. And so one of the, I would say, superpowers that I realized I had was hypervisibility, and being able to flip the narrative to your advantage. For example, I can't change the color of my skin, and I wouldn't want to, let me add that. So you have to let your work speak louder than any expectations that others may have of you, of your race or your gender. Okay, so moving on to how I overcame some of the challenges that I faced. So in using this power, here are some of the top tips that I use to overcome some of the barriers. So firstly, knowing your values, and being grounded and rooted in who you are, and being proud of who you are, and also honing in on some of the values that you have. For me, that was integrity, dignity, and taking pride in all I do. And that includes celebrating your achievements, clapping for yourself even when nobody is clapping for you. And that in particular, celebrating every milestone. No milestone is insignificant. That's something I've learned to help overcome some of the challenges I faced. Secondly, external perceptions. Don't let other people's perceptions of you limit your ambitions. Yes, you may be a minority, but as I say, you can flip that to your advantage. So don't let anybody's expectations of you limit yourself and your ambitions. Thirdly, I would say expand your network. To all the young people that are listening on this webinar, I would encourage you to expand your network. There are several options available, be it professional network, a staff network, a social network, which each have their own advantages. For example, in my career, I've belonged to the BME network, which is the Black and Minority Ethnic Network in the NHS, and it offered for me, a safe space to feel empowered, to connect with like-minded people. I was offered training and advice and mentorship opportunities, which are crucial to your development as a leader. And you can also identify allies as well, which you can use to your greatest advantage. But most importantly, I think a note in terms of networking is that it helps to expose you to more opportunities linking to people with similar interests. And the better you network, the more knowledge you can tap into. So that's what I've learned about networking. Fourthly, I would say honing on your support system is so important. It's crucial to have a support system in place. I can't emphasize that enough. Personally, for me, I think what has made all the difference has been my family. Now, it doesn't matter how small your support system is, even if it's just one person, it makes such a difference. For me, it helped me to have the backing to progress in my career boldly and unapologetically, and I found that to be invaluable, especially in academia. The fact that there is a lack of representation, it is common, in fact, even in the non-BME community, to experience imposter syndrome. And we know from imposter syndrome, it does instill fear, the fear that you may not be worthy to be in the position that you're in. But having my support system in place helped to dispel that fear. And it's important to continue to believe in yourself. Fifthly, I would say be proactive. Given that especially now, we're in a pandemic, and traditional ways of working have been challenged. So it's very important. Now, there may not be opportunities available that are readily available, but you are able to create your own opportunities, be creative, and believe in yourself as you embark on these opportunities as well. Six, I think this is most important, taking care of yourself. So negativity, research has proven that negativity can weaken your immune system. So it's so important for you to take care of yourself because your mind exerts power over the body. And I've seen in a recent report published earlier this year by the British Educational Research Association that doctoral students from BME backgrounds experience increased unique challenges that can increase stress and worsen mental health. So it's so important to put yourself first and take care of yourself alongside your journey, leadership journey. And lastly, in all that you do, remember that regardless of your title or your status, that you are a leader and you are able to enact meaningful change in any capacity. And so I like to lead by inspiring others. And that's why I created and founded the PhD podcast. Now, the PhD podcast, I'm excited to say, is a global platform for PhD students and early career researchers to come together and share experiences and learn and draw inspiration from each other. In the podcast, I discuss all things PhD life and progressive ideas to create a way forward in academia that's more inclusive, equal, and diverse. I really like to emphasize the fact that it's not one-dimensional because there are many channels out there already that provide an insight into academic life as a PhD student or as a postdoc or as an early career researcher. However, there's a serious lack of representation. So this forum opens up to diverse conversations. And so it's available on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter at the PhD Podcast. We also have our own website, which is www.thephdpodcast.com. And so our ultimate vision, as well as part of the platform, or my ultimate vision, is to have a positive impact that will inspire and empower people to maximize their potential. We host Q&As. We also have interviews with special guests, international guests from around the world. It's very much an interactive space. So I really implore all the young people out there to have a look and follow us. We have a steady following on Instagram and on Twitter at the moment. So please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for listening.
I will just start off by asking you, we've mentioned earlier before that you won the first place award in the World Congress in the field of health and biomedical informatics. Tell us, like, you know, I can imagine going through a journey like that, there must have been highs and lows. Could you share more with us about that particular journey?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's a very interesting question. The journey in itself, as I reflect on it, it's a journey that I found to be very rewarding. And I think it presented an opportunity for me to engage with world leaders in my field of health and biomedical informatics. And I would say the highs of the journey were the fact that I was able to set goals in terms of my research, and I was able to meet those goals and surpass my potential. And that brought me to various areas and it took me to various countries. Specifically, it took me to Brazil, where I was able to meet world leaders in my field. I think that was the greatest, one of the greatest achievements of my career to date. I was also able to share that journey with my family, who also traveled with me. So that's my support system that I mentioned earlier in my presentation. That's very important for you to have a level of support or a support circle in place. So I would say I didn't experience any lows in particular, but I would say that something which I learned very early on in my academic career is that you're constantly being judged in terms of the quality of your work, and that's something that can be viewed as a negative, but I don't think it should be viewed as a negative. I think it should be used. It could be used as a positive to help you, to push you to continue to strive for better. And obviously, I'm still on my leadership journey, so there's no stopping me at this moment in time.
Okay, excellent. The next question we have coming in is actually with many institutions, for instance, NHR launching calls on artificial intelligence and health and care awards. There is a focus now more than ever in technological advancements. Now, you have a PhD in digital health innovations. Could you tell us what your exact involvement is within this sector and why is it so important?
It's so important for various reasons. I've just finished working on a unique project with University College London Hospitals, and in my role as a digital health lead, I was involved in a project which looked at combining an electronic health record, the UK's first, shall I mention, the UK's first integrated electronic health record with a clinical trials platform. So that enables patients to be selected for clinical trials within the NHS that they're eligible to take part in, according to data that's held within their electronic health record. And it's underpinned by strong clinical informatics principles, that being artificial intelligence and natural language processing. So the capabilities of artificial intelligence are limitless, and I'm enjoying being and working at the forefront of innovation.
Great, excellent. Actually, on the back of that, we have another question coming in, which asks, I noticed one of your experiences was at McGill. What was the transition of moving across the world like for you, especially when it comes to building new networks and moving to a different place?
That's a very good question. Unfortunately, I can't see who asked the question. So in directing...
Someone called Laban Molid.
Thank Thank you very much.
You're
I think that's a very good question, especially for young people who would like to be seeking out training and fellowship opportunities. So this was a training fellowship opportunity that was a competitive opportunity, and only a certain level of awards were being presented to PhD students who have a vision of mobilizing around the world, and I was fortunate to be awarded one of those research positions. Now, I think there are several elements involved when you're moving to a new country, or when you need to build new networks. I think the first things first is to make sure that you research the institution that you want to join. I joined an informatics lab where I researched the supervisors. I also researched the area that I was going to be staying in and living in, and that's very important for me as a woman of color as well. And it presented limitless opportunities. From there, I was able to be involved in projects that they were working on, and it helped to elevate my profile as a researcher and also elevate myself in the field as an academic. And I think it's an added bonus to your career if you're able to do that and grab those opportunities. So to young people out there, I would say continue to seek out opportunities, grab opportunities as you see them. Don't limit yourself at all.
Okay. Just one last question, and I'm wary of time as well. One question that we received through Twitter, which was, how important would you say mentorship was a part of your journey? If you can briefly comment on that.
Perfect. Yeah, mentorship was significant for me. As I say, especially to be able to see role models out there. It's very difficult to envision yourself in a position of leadership, for example, if you don't readily see that. And so for me, it's very important to be able to seek out opportunities for me, and I still do till today, and also be able to mentor others. And I do that in the work that I do. I make sure that, as I said, once I'm through a door, that door is left open so other people are able to follow and feel welcomed, and to receive training and advice and support to help them elevate themselves in their journey.